Okay, so what we did in the last lesson is we picked a random row and we went through and we printed each of the columns or each of the fields into a text box. Okay, so that's what this code did, is it actually looped through the different columns of a chosen row. And remember, we chose the row, I think this was an 8, wasn't it? So, or we could change it to 5, or we could change it to 3, whichever row we wanted. We could actually change, and that would pick a specific row, and then it would loop through and pick each one of these things to print to the text box. Right, so now that we know this works, we know we can loop through all the columns, but what we want to do is loop through all the rows, so that basically when we start, it chooses the first row, row 0, prints out all these things, alright, so it loops through and prints each one of these, and then it moves on to the next one. So basically we need a loop that goes down the rows as well as the columns. So we already have the one that's the columns, and now all we have to do is loop through the rows. So how do we do that? Well, we've already set ourselves up, and what we can say is we can say for row equals 0 to int row count. Okay, and we just have to move this next down to the bottom here, because remember, whatever's between this line and this line is going to loop. Alright, so now that we're looping through the rows, and for each row we're going to loop through the columns and print those. Alright, let's see what happens. Alright, test that. Now, oh, that's weird, isn't it? Look at that, it repeats over and over, and it just in one big line, isn't it? Alright, so let's see. Oh, look at that, it keeps doing weepoo. Alright, period, over and over and over again. What's wrong with that? Well, first off, we're still printing from a single row, and what we can do is we can actually use the row variable, because this is incrementing from 0 through whatever this one is, 11. Alright, so the first time that this loops through, it's going to be at 0, and then when it goes through and gets to the top, row becomes 1, so it then picks the first row. Right here it picks the first row, which remember 0 is the first row, so it actually picks the second row, which is the first row 1. Alright, let's bring it up again. Alright, so remember, this is the 0th row, the first row, second, third, and so on. Okay, so hopefully you pick that up. Alright, so let's see what happens now. And see, there it goes. It goes through all of them. Starts at Sam Whitelock, goes through Richie McCaw, Conrad Smith, and so on and so forth. But it's still not. It still doesn't look like this, because, well, we have to put in a carriage return after this to separate, and we've still got to sort out the text as it's showing up. So basically, after each loop, what we can do is there's an escape sequence. And again, we can add that, txt.text equals, remember, it's txt, we've got to put what's already in there, we've got to include that, otherwise it'll overwrite it. And there's this thing called VR, what is it, carriage return, VB carriage return, yeah, there it is, CLRF. And that's like a carriage return, a line feed. Alright, and what that is in the old days they called it a carriage return, and that's in those typewriters where you used to have to push the carriage back to the left whenever you finished a line, and a line feed is like pushing the enter key. So now watch what happens. Now it formats it all nice and neat. See how it goes on each line? And that should look almost exactly like that. So there you go. Alright, so this is what's called a nested loop for you geeks out there who want to know, because what you've got is you've got one loop inside of another loop. Alright, and I think this is the trick to understanding loops, to understanding iteration, is make your program do whatever it's supposed to do, make it do it once, and then repeat it. And if you need to repeat it again, and then you put it into another loop on the outside. Alright, so this is the outer loop, this is the inner loop, and this is the thing we're making it do. Alright, hopefully you understand that. See if you can get this working with your NZ bands. And that should pretty much be it. Good luck.